Hey everybody, Brad with Full Spectrum Survival. As you can see, it is a cold, wet, miserable, and rainy day today. But this brings up an important topic for survival preparedness and disaster readiness, and that is maintaining the perfect body temperature and alleviating the unnecessary risk of developing pneumonia or another cold, a common cold that could really bring you down and really stress your body during a true survival scenario. So let's take into example, something happens. And it can be throughout multiple climates, it can be throughout any time of the year. Your body is meant to stay at a very particular degree. It's meant to stay at around 98.6 degrees. Anything higher than that, you run the risk of brain damage. Anything lower than that, you run the risk of hypothermia and shutting down. So now there is a degree of variance, of course. 98.7 is not going to kill you, but the point is your body was developed, your body is made to stay within a very narrow window. Now we have acclimated to so many areas of the earth. We've acclimated from the deep, cold environments like Alaska and like Russia. We've acclimated to the hot environments like Florida and like South America. As humans, we have developed the ability to shelter and to ready ourselves for those different environments, to stop things like pneumonia and to stop from stressing our bodies out. But in a disaster, you're going to have to get out there and you're going to have to do the things that are necessary to protect your family, to keep yourself safe, to guard your livestock, to stop looters and marauders from taking what's yours. You're going to have to get out there and do this, no matter what it's like outside. So let's talk about shelter inside. If you have something happen, say marauders come, say you have a squabble with a neighbor, and they take out all of your windows, you're going to have to patch them up. Even worse, you have a fire there, and it guts your house. You're going to have to find adequate shelter. You're going to need to think about your body and keeping it in the bodies of your family and your group, and keeping them very, I don't want to say comfortable, but in a variation of degrees that allows them to not be stressed out. So let's talk about what happens to a body when it gets stressed. Your immune system goes down, and that's where the term the common cold comes from. The cold we think of as a bacterial transference, a sickness, but it started out as being like an under the weather is another name for it. You're just under the weather. That means your body is so stressed out from dealing with the environment that it is sick. It's mimicking sickness. Sniffles, sore throat, aches and pains, fever. It's stressed out. Right now, you go inside and you chill out for a little bit, it's no big deal. During a disaster, you're going to have a real problem and you're going to get pneumonia, and you're going to need to be able to keep your body and the bodies of your group safe from huge changes in the environment. So I want you guys to think about your disaster preparedness. I want you to think about, do you have the things necessary to patch up multiple windows if you have someone local that comes and knocks out all of your windows during a disaster? I want you to think about starting at the core. And so the core for me and my family is each person has a USGI military, 3-system sleeping system. It's the bivy system. Starts with the bivy bag on the outside, then goes to the black and green bags on the inside. And together, they're rated at negative 30 degrees. So for here in the United States of America, you're handled, you're good, no matter what environment you get into here. Even if we had to move 100 miles, 500 miles up north, we'd still be good. Negative 30 is very serious. There's some places on Earth where that still might not be enough. But think about a system like that, the USGI system. Who was it? I think it was... I was just watching a live stream recently, and they were talking about how the military has proven certain systems out. They've proven they have the budget that we don't have. And they have shown what systems work and which ones don't. Now, okay, there's a lot of reasons the military does one thing over the other. case in point is that there's always a resupply. So, guys don't have to have certain things because a resupply is on its way. But at its core, things like the bivy system, the sleep systems, they are made to withstand as many environments as logically possible. So I want you to think about something like that. Can you handle that? What can you do to protect your family? Now, on our Off-Grid with Brad and Kelly channel, we had a lot of people saying, why don't you have the wood stove installed? We have it, but we haven't had the finances yet to get the chimney system. So it's there, it's ready. If something were to happen tonight, I could put it up and I could seal around the double-walled stovepipe, and I could makeshift the chimney, but I don't want to do that right now. I want to do it right. But yet we could do it if we had to, if there was a disaster. What about you guys? Have you thought about wood burning inside of your home? Do you have a carbon monoxide detector just in case? Do you, do you have wool blankets? Do you have those things now? And are you ready for the changes that you'll have to endure should a disaster strike? Should people with guns come blazing down your neighborhood and you have to take your family and bolt? Will you be able to just get out there and endure the environment without becoming under the weather, without getting sick? Because the last thing that you want during a survival crisis is to go under. Because you, in many cases, you watching this video are the group leader or one of the group leaders that will be helping the rest of your family and friends and groups out. So you going under is the worst case scenario. That means all of the skills that you have, all of the items in your mind that you have thought through have to fall to somebody else. And are they prepared like you are? That's a lot of stress to think about. So instead, waylay that stress and think about what you can do now to protect the groups that you have. And then, I know it's expensive sometimes, but put it on the long duration, the long-term budget list. And say, okay, every 3 months, somebody's getting a USGI bivy system. That's a pretty doable plan. You could put, $30, $60 away every month. If you can't, then there are other systems available. There's used military surplus. There's, you might say, we've got so many wool blankets and I've camped in negative 15 degrees with this gear. That's perfect. It doesn't have to be one thing or the other. Just make sure it's doable and get out there and try it. Because you are the leaders. You are the reason that other people will stay safe. I hope this got you guys thinking. I hope that, you've taken this into account. I'm sure you guys already have. You are on top of the game. But I want to talk with you guys, and you might have some ideas for me and my group and my family. I know recently, just with our climate change from Florida to here in the southern mountains in Alabama, I've been under the weather. And I've had to fight to not go out and do the things that would continue that to, continue to make that happen. And so I'll give you a prime example. One of my neighbors, and this is another thing, listen to your neighbors, especially if you are planning a retreat location in a state or environment that you're not in. And if they say you need to do this, take that into good consideration. One of my neighbors here, he said, Brad, you have got to weather all of your pipes. I don't care if they're in the ground 8 or 12 inches. I don't care if they're under the skirting of the house. Weather all the pipes. I've him and hawed, and yesterday morning, we recently installed a propane water heater. Yesterday morning, I wake up and I hear a hissing, and I go outside, and it was 21 degrees the night before, and there's just icicles everywhere and water spurting out of my pipe. So here I am at like 6 a.m. It's still 30 degrees outside, and I've got to go get out there, and I've got to fix it, and I've got to get things rolling. It's those types of things that you have to think about that you're still going to have to do in a disaster. You can't pick and choose the time of when you have to fix a problem, when you have a water leak. And looking at it from the other side, as a potential predator, if you kind of step into those shoes for a minute, that's what you're going to try and cause. You're going to take everyone's solar panels out. You're going to take everyone's gas generators out. If you're the predator, you're going to make them as uncomfortable as possible. Maybe you're just the apex predator and you're taking out the logistics of the bad guys. You're still going to make them as uncomfortable as possible. Get them under the weather. Get them sick with pneumonia. So kind of think about that. What are your vulnerabilities, and what kind of things can you prepare for now so that you can maintain that perfect environment inside of your home or inside of your shelter? Ideally, you want it between 70 and 75 degrees. That's kind of the world recognized average and acceptable level, where between 70 and 75, everyone's body is the least amount stressed. Older people and young infants and stuff, they need it a little bit warmer because they don't have the warmth going through them just from normal work and blood flow and everything. Bigger, heavy-set people, they might need it a little bit cooler to keep their body a little bit more normalized. Take that into thought. And even at night, what can you do to get that environment just right? If you're camping, if you're in a tent, or you're in a sleep system that keeps your body at its ideal temperature, you don't want to be shivering. You don't want to have those problems, and you don't want to get under the weather. Guys, I hope this has got you thinking a little bit. I hope you'll check out that USGI bivvy system. I'll put a link in the description box below to the one that I use and that my family uses, and we have tried and true tested over and over again. It's awesome. Give it some thought. But there are other options available. The options you already have might be the ones that work. At the end of the day, when a disaster strikes, it's what you have at hand that matters, not what you wish you could have gotten. From Kelly and I to you and yours, as always, stay safe, keep watch, and remain vigilant.